The NDP can't stop the crazy. I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. In the last federal election campaign, New Democratic Party leader Tom Mulcair tried desperately to drag his party closer to the center to show that they were responsible social democrats, still socialists, but responsible ones that would offer balanced budgets while expanding social programs. The party failed miserably in the last election, and rather than pointing to a couple of things that actually cost him votes, like his stance on the niqab in Quebec and then the rise in popularity of Justin Trudeau, those on the uber left are saying Tom Mulcair was not left-wing enough, and that's why the NDP lost. So they're calling for a return to the past. They're calling for a return to outright socialism and pushing for the LEAP Manifesto to be embraced at the NDP convention in Edmonton this coming weekend. Now, the LEAP Manifesto is put out by the likes of, well, No One is Illegal, Avi Lewis, the documentary filmmaker, the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty. Lots of far-left organizations and individuals have signed and pushed this. MP Libby Davies is behind it as well. They want this to be embraced at the party's convention. They want it to be the agenda going forward. What does it call for? Well, universal daycare, a guaranteed annual income, whether you work or not. They want an end to the fossil fuel industry and return to local farm economies, small-scale farming, even though it feeds fewer people and, well, leaves people in poverty. But that's okay. See, New Democrats don't care. They know they're never going to get in, but they want pure socialism. Let me read to you some of what is in this LEAP Manifesto that they're pushing for this weekend. We demand that this shift begin now. There is no longer an excuse for building new infrastructure projects that lock us into increased extraction decades into the future. That's what they say about the oil and gas industry, be it fracking in New Brunswick, Quebec, British Columbia, or increased tanker traffic. They want none of it. How we'll all get around, how they'll be able to fly to their conventions in Edmonton, who knows? What they do want is small-scale, local, and locally owned power companies. As an alternative to the profit gouging of private companies and the remote bureaucracy of some centralized state ones, we can create innovative ownership structures, democratically run, paying living wages, and keeping much-needed revenues in communities. That sounds wonderful, and many of us would remember that we've tried it and it didn't work. How many of the local power companies in this country are owned by the city? We're still getting gouged, and it doesn't matter. By the way, customer service, non-existent. Check out your local municipal power supply company if you don't believe me. What else do they call for? Moving to a far more localized, ecologically based agriculture system would reduce reliance on fossil fuels, capture carbon in the soil, and absorb sudden shocks in the global supply, as well as produce healthier and more affordable food for everyone. I live in a part of the country, it's called Ottawa. We have bad soil and we have winter about 6 months of the year. What am I going to eat for most of that time? This is an attempt to bring the 100-mile diet, or a variant thereof, into the mainstream and try and force it upon us. We're not growing wheat in Eastern Canada and Eastern Ontario. Am I going to be able to get bread? Not under these conditions. What about getting fresh produce from the tropics? What about that? Am I going to be eating apples all the time? Is this the vision of the New Democrats? It would appear so. And they also call for an end to things like NAFTA, or the free trade deals with India, European Union. We call for an end to all trade deals that interfere with our attempts to rebuild local economies, regulate corporations, and stop damaging extractive projects. Add in a national daycare program and the guaranteed annual income, and you've got a socialist dream, a socialist paradise. Most of what they want to talk about, and Quebec has moved in those directions, and Quebec is the highest tax jurisdiction, it's the highest spending jurisdiction, and it's the one that requires subsidies from other parts of the country, the biggest subsidies, in order to run. This isn't an attempt to make the NDP relevant again. This isn't an attempt to make the NDP more electable. This is an attempt to embrace the type of South American socialism that Avi Lewis and his wife Naomi Klein dream about as they run around the continent doing their documentaries. It doesn't work in Venezuela and it won't work in Canada. But like I said, the NDP can't stop the craziness.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.